That's one monster hike. Sure could use a break.
Yeah, I'm pooped. Let's take 5, warm up, and roast us some weenies.
For sure.
Check it out. There's a pit so we can make a safe fire.
Cool. Hey, there's even water to put it out. You don't want to mess with fire. One small ember is a forest fire in the making.
Okay, you work on the pit, I'll find us some wood.
On it. Fire pit's cleaned out.
Okay, we got lots of wood. That looks good, Sid.
All right.
Sid, no! Oh.
What?
I was saving that piece of wood. It was perfect for carving.
I'm sorry, Kat.
It's okay. You didn't know. Hey, Palmer.
Too bad. It would have made a great carving.
I know, it just happened so fast.
Hey, it just makes you think. With a little fire like that, burning up something so fast, imagine what a forest fire could do to this place.
Yeah, fire can be brutal, destroying entire ecosystems. But you know what? Out of such destruction can come rebirth.
Palmer, that makes no sense. Are you having trouble with your hard drive?
I know it sounds impossible, but it isn't. Not far from here is a place that has had some huge fires, but nature has a way of overcoming such disasters.
That sounds like a place I'd like to see. What's it called?
Kootenay National Park in British Columbia. Why don't you put out your fire and then we can go see all the brilliant things happening there?
All right.
And Kat,
Yes, Palmer?
I know how much you love animals. Well, the park is doing major work with the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep, so I'm sure you'll see lots of them.
Awesome. Come on, Sid. The Bighorns are calling.
Bah!
Today on CG Kids, we travel to Kootenay National Park in British Columbia and climb high up in the Rockies looking for the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep.
And we learn about the unique First Nation culture that's been living in this area for thousands of years. It's an adventure you won't want to miss.
Geographic Kids.
Sid, see any sheep yet?
Nope, nothing yet. But I'm sure we'll see some soon. We're here in Kootenay National Park in beautiful British Columbia.
It's found in the southwest corner of the Rocky Mountains, on the border of Alberta, right around here. It's an incredible park with an amazing natural diversity, containing everything from cacti to glaciers, and has been an area of special significance to the First Nation group Ktunaxa for thousands of years.
Unfortunately, it's also been devastated by forest fires. We're here to see firsthand the damage these fires have done.
And to see the work going on in the park.
Sid, sheep, 10 o'clock.
It's not 10 o'clock.
No, the direction, come on.
Kat, slow down.
No sheep. I could have sworn I saw one.
Hey, Palmer, any advice on the sheep front?
Well, the thing about bighorns is they like higher elevation. Maybe you're not high enough.
So, up we go.
Wait, I thought we were looking for fire damage.
Yeah, but the higher up we go, the better we can see, right?
I guess you're right.
Of course I'm right.
Up we go.
The gotta be up here somewhere.
I think you're out of luck with the sheep, but check this out.
Whoa.
What a mess.
Yeah, I wonder how long ago the fire happened. Hey, look, there's a guy over there. Maybe we could ask him. Hi.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Larry, what happened to this poor forest?
Well, you're standing in one of the largest fires we've had in Kootenay National Park. It was caused by a lightning strike back here, back in 2003, and it burnt for 6 weeks and just burned off a huge area through the park.
That must have been devastating for the park.
Well, actually, it was a good thing for this forest. This fire is actually a good thing here. It's as natural as sunshine and rain.
What?
It's a dead forest. Look at it. The trees are all dead.
Well, these trees around us, actually lodgepole pine, they thrive on forest fires, having a periodic fire come through every few years.
How does that work? How do they thrive? They're all burned.
Yeah, the trees themselves are dead, but they produce these serotinous cones, which is all sealed up with a resin, shut tight, and it takes the heat of a fire to open these cones and spread the seeds onto the ground.
Wow.
And you can see the results of it all around us here.
Oh yeah, look at these little
Young
guys.
pines, yeah. And if you look at these little guys, what's neat about them is you can actually age how old they are by counting the branch whorls. So you got 1, 2, it's in its 3rd year.
It's amazing. I still don't get it though. The forest is burnt down. There's no home for animals or birds or anything here left.
A lot of these new plants provide food for animals. And one particular critter called the wood-boring beetle is actually attracted to fires. So they've got heat sensors on them, actually infrared sensors.
To find the fire?
To find the fires. And so when a fire does happen, you get these little beetles flying in from all over the place to meet other beetles and mate. And then the females lay their eggs in behind the charred bark. And when the larvae hatch, they feed on all this dead wood. And the larvae will also become a real banquet for the woodpeckers.
So it's like a big cycle.
And I thought this forest was dead.
No, it's actually, as you can see from all around us here, it's a living forest.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we should go out starting forest fires, does it?
No, you shouldn't be starting any fires. But in parks, we suppress fires for years thinking we're protecting the ecosystem. And we're just realizing now that that was wrong. And we're now doing prescribed burns, so we can still have fires, but under a controlled method.
That's so cool.
I'd love to see that.
Well, you're in luck because our fire specialist, Rick Cooming, is doing a test burn right now for a prescribed fire.
How can we find him?
Well, you're going to have to climb a little higher here and go over the ridge and back down. Just follow the smoke and you'll find Rick.
Perfect. Climbing means bighorn sheep. Thank you so much for
thanks
showing
a lot.
us.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome.
Great to meet you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye now.
Come on, Sid. Bighorn sheep are calling.
Oh, more climbing. No, Kat, any steeper, we're gonna need climbing gear. Anyways, I think we've gone higher than Larry told us to go.
No way, Sid. I swear I see something white over there.
It's called snow, it's everywhere.
No, look closer. See just over in the distance?
I'll check out my
It could be like a herd or something. See?
Hey, I think that's Stanley Glacier. Even though I'm no expert, I don't think we're gonna find bighorn on a glacier.
Okay, Palmer, what's up? Where are the bighorn sheep?
Well, after you asked me about my hard drive, I thought it was time for me to do a little diagnostic. And I know this will make you laugh. My calendar was a little off.
How off?
By like 2 months.
Which means?
That the bighorns have come down from the higher elevations for mating. But look at the bright side. You did see a glacier.
Well, as Palmer says, there's always a bright side. Since we have to go down to hook up with Rick, we're sure to see some bighorn sheep. Anyways, I could sure use a break from all this climbing. My legs are killing me.
Great, Sid. Come on, get a move on.
Ow!
Sorry if I'm going too fast for you, Sid.
I don't mind, but you sure miss a lot when you hurry. What an amazing place. So peaceful. I can see why this is an important place to the First Nations. It must have an amazing history.
Sid, I'm not quite sure where we are.
I don't know either. Maybe they can help us out.
Let's go find out. Hi, I'm Kat.
I'm Sid.
I'm Phyllis.
And I'm Dorothy.
We're a little bit lost. Do you know where we are?
Here at the paint pot.
Paint pots? What's that?
We use it as for paint.
Our people call it Namita.
Your people, what nation are you guys?
We're the Naka people.
How long have the Ktunaxa been in this area?
Well, we've been here a few minutes, but our people have been here for, I think we date back to at least 10,000 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, according to the archaeologists.
What's the traditional life like for the Ktunaxa?
It's been written about us that we were nomadic people, so we traveled the territory.
Where would we go to find these paint pots? Because I'd love to check these out.
You follow that trail back here,
How do we know when we're there?
you won't miss it.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing with us.
It's awesome.
And maybe we'll see you again.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, see you.
Bye.
Hiking up the trail to the paint pots, Sid and I began to sense why this area was so sacred to the Ktunaxa. And then we saw the paint pots. Scientifically, their formation is simply the accumulation of iron oxide around 3 cold mineral springs to create something called ochre. But to the Ktunaxa, this is a sacred place.
Phyllis had told us that her people used the ochre for painting, and seeing its intensity, we could understand why. The color was electrifying. 2 of the larger pots looked green, which was the result of the mixing of fresh water with the pools.
But the First Nations were not the only ones to use the paint pots. In the early 1900s, the Europeans also began to mine the ochre beds. The ochre was dug by hand, put in bags, and hauled by horse-drawn wagon to the train station for shipment, where it was sold as color base for paint. But once the park was established in 1920, this was gradually stopped. Today the paint pots are protected, and the gathering of ochre is not allowed.
Leaving the paint pots behind, we found ourselves back in the snow as we continued on our search for Rick and the Bighorns.
Hey, Kat. Check it out.
Hey, cool! The Continental Divide. Hey, Palmer.
Have I been forgiven for sending you on a wild sheep chase?
Absolutely.
We weren't even mad at you in the first place.
What great friends you are. And to show my appreciation, I have a video uplink coming through.
Hi guys, what's the Continental Divide?
Your turn to answer, Kat.
Okay. Well, the Continental Divide, also known as the Great Divide, is a ridge of mountains in Central and North America that separate the major water drainage areas. So here in BC, if you're on the west side, the water goes into the Pacific Ocean. But if you're on the east side, it drains into the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. Okay, Sid, let's go find Rick.
Cool.
As Kat and I continued climbing up and down the mountain, we had almost given up on finding Rick. That is, until we smelled smoke.
Look over there.
That's gotta be Rick. Let's go. Hi, Rick.
Yes.
Okay, Rick, what is going on here?
Well, I'm doing a 1-minute test fire to prepare for a prescribed burn we're doing in a couple of weeks.
And how are you doing that?
Well, I use this handheld drip torch to test how dry the fuels are. It's the same tool we'll use to actually do the prescribed burn. Would you guys like to try it out?
Of
For
course.
sure.
All right, let's give it a whirl.
Okay. All right, so we're all set.
All right, you guys, you look great. Well, we're ready to do a little test fire here. You've got your Nomex protective clothing on and your gloves and your hard hat. This stuff's fire resistant, so as long as we're careful, we should be fine. And of course, the gloves protect your hands. So we should take a look at some of the other gear. We've already talked a little bit about the handheld drip torch. And Kat, I guess you're going to be using that. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds
All
awesome.
right. Sid, you're going to use the backpack pump over here.
Okay.
So we just use the trombone. We can move quite a bit of water quite quickly.
That's what I need in a water fight.
Yeah, well, it is pretty deadly. Maybe we'll get that on your back now.
Okay.
A little bit heavy and awkward, but firefighters carry these around for days on end. How's that feel?
No problem.
All right. So Kat, what you need to do there is just
Okay.
drop a little bit of fuel right here in the grass
How do I
for me.
just tip it?
Yeah, just tip it over and you'll see a little bit of fuel come out. Perfect, that's
Yeah.
all. Then I'm gonna light that grass with my glove on,
Okay.
and then you touch this wick to the grass and
Yeah.
it should light the wick.
And then go backwards that
And then
way?
just light one strip backwards. Yeah, that's
Okay.
gonna work great.
So what's the point in doing the prescribed burn?
There's two primary reasons. The first one is to actually reduce the fuel load on the landscape. So when we have a wildfire in the future, the probabilities of it getting really large and out of control will be lowered.
What's the second reason?
One of the key things that we're doing this for is ecological reasons. In this case, we were trying to restore this habitat type on the landscape here, this open forest grassland habitat type that we understand there was a lot more of historically, primarily because there used to be a lot more fire on the landscape. And there's a whole bunch of species that benefit from that. Bighorn sheep's one of the primary ones that we're doing this burn for.
Really? We've
Wow.
been looking all day for them. How does this help them?
Well, it creates more of this open habitat type, which enables them to move around on the landscape without being scared of predators quite as much. Oh, I hear them off in the distance actually. Just right now, did you hear that big crack?
Those are sheep?
That's the sheep in the rut. The males, they do a big headbang together, and that actually is what they do to compete for the females when they're in the rut.
How do we find them?
Well, I think if you just follow that sound, you'll find Alan Dibb, our wildlife specialist.
Great.
Well, shall I put it out before we go?
Yeah, we better get some work out of you, Sid. You should put that out, please.
Okay. Prescribed burning is a crazy idea that actually works. Burn the forest in a controlled manner so that when a wildfire starts, it doesn't burn uncontrolled and rip through the whole forest. But remember, this can only be done by trained professionals.
That's what I call fighting fire with fire.
Trained professionals. Following the distant sound of head clashing, Kat and I knew we were nearing the end of our search.
But when we found the bighorns, not only weren't they clashing, they were in the one place we didn't think to look, a golf course. We found them!
Hey, are you Alan?
I am.
We have been looking all day for these guys.
Well, you've come to the right place.
Oh, they're so cool. But why are they called bighorn sheep?
Well, these are females and young sheep that haven't grown the big horns yet, but the males in this species are the ones with the big curly horns.
But they're not fluffy like normal sheep. Why is that?
No, these sheep don't grow wool like domestic sheep do, but they have coats that are perfectly well adapted to the sort of winters that we get here.
What are these guys doing in the golf course?
Well, these sheep used to spend their winters up in the edge of the park, but the habitat up there, which was open grassland, became ingrown with trees and crowded out the grasses that these sheep are dependent on. And the sheep eventually moved into the village of Radium Hot Springs, and now they feed on green grass on the golf course and on people's lawns for much of the winter.
Is that a problem?
Well, it's a problem because the sheep have to cross a major highway to get here. And each year we lose some sheep to collisions with vehicles on the road.
What's being done to prevent that?
We have a habitat restoration project for the sheep back on the other side of the highway, where we've used logging and prescribed burning to open up the forest and try to regrow that grassland habitat that these sheep are so dependent on.
When do you expect these guys to all be back in their old home?
We have radio collars on these sheep, and so we're monitoring them to see if they are going back up into the restoration area and how much of the time they spend up there. We can adjust the things that we're doing up there, or we can leave it alone if they like it.
Awesome. Ooh. Palmer, guess what? We found them.
A happy ending. And there's no better way to end than with a video question.
All set.
Hi guys, what's the difference between antlers and horns?
Well, it just happens I've got an example of each right over here. These are a set of antlers from a deer. Now, the antlers are just a bony outgrowth coming off the skull. One of the things about antlers is they fall off every year. And this is the point here at which the antlers do fall off each year. After the mating season's done, they don't need them anymore. They drop them off and they grow hopefully a bigger set the next year. With animals like sheep and goats and bison, They have horns. Horns don't fall off each year, they stay on the animal. And then the actual horny material, which is made of keratin, similar to your fingernail material, that grows over that bony core. Now these horns can weigh as much as 20 pounds each.
That's big.
It's a big fingernail.
But they stay on for the life of the animal, so the sheep can grow the horns bigger and bigger as they get older and older.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, Sid, next look. Oh, sorry.
Sid, what's wrong?
We've been rock climbing all day, and I feel like I've been headbutting sheep.
You should go to the Radium Hot Springs. That's where First Nations people in this area have been going for thousands of years to relax.
Hey, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I've put you through a ton today. I say we go take a break in the hot springs.
For sure.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, bye. Hi.
Hi.
We did run into you again.
The paint pots were beautiful.
But those are the cold springs, so we're ready for some hot springs now.
So do the hot springs have significance to the Tunaha as well?
Yes, they're good for aches and pains.
So it has like healing properties.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I need.
Yeah.
I'm really sore from hiking.
It's time to soak your sore muscles.
I think it is.
Bye.
Bye.
Although the setting was more modern than when the Tunaha first used the springs, the hot water bubbling up from deep within the earth still had the same effect to help relieve our aches and pains.
Phyllis is right. The springs really are healing. I feel like a whole new man.
So you ready to tackle another mountain?
Not quite.
Maybe later?
Yeah, later. Way later.
I agree. Now's the time for us to recharge our batteries.